Chapter 5294. Updated quickly, he thought for a moment and called the nurse, asked Mr. Ching to come in for a moment. The nurse was stunned for a moment before replying softly, "All right, I'll call him." Sister Hong was still sitting there quietly, a little lost in her thoughts. When the nurse walked out, Master Ching was still squatting on the floor, looking pitiful. Seeing the nurse come out, Master Ching coughed lightly. "How's the person inside?" The nurse smiled. "He's asking you to go in." Master Ching was a little confused. "Are you really asking me to go in? You're not joking." The nurse turned her head. "Forget it if you don't want to go in. It's as if he's begging you." Master Ching saw that it didn't seem like a joke, so he bent his back and went in. As soon as he entered, he smiled cheekily. "Did you miss me?" He closed the door and rubbed his hands excitedly. Sister Hong was much better now. She stood by the window in her white home clothes, carefully trimming a bunch of flowers in her hands. Master Ching stood a few steps away from her, looking at her greedily. In the past, he only felt that she wasn't pretty, but later on, he felt that she was charming. But now, he felt that she was like a little angel. Master Ching lowered his head, feeling embarrassed. She was already so old, but he still felt that she was cute. Perhaps it was because of the child in her stomach, so she looked younger than he was. Master Ching was immediately overjoyed, looking at his woman eagerly, his heart full of pride. Sister Hong probably guessed that he was behind her, so she said softly, "I called you here to tell you something." Master Ching touched his head. "Speak." Sister Hong lowered her eyes. "I'm preparing to be discharged, but before I leave, I have to make a promise with you." When Master Ching heard this, he thought that there was hope. He immediately stood up straight and said, "Which 3 chapters? Tell me. I'm sure I can do it." Sister Hong put down the scissors in her hand and turned her head. "Really, you can do it?" Master Ching puffed out his chest. "I'll be a dog if I lie to you. As long as Madam says it, I can do it in the future." Sister Hong looked at him and smiled. "Then I'll believe you this once." Master Ching excitedly rubbed his hands. "Then I'll help you get discharged." "Where are we going to stay?" Sister Hong nodded. "Yes, where do you live?" "Ching Zheng, you have so many houses, but none of them is our home." Master Ching was a little stunned. These words didn't sound right. Sister Hong looked at him and said faintly, "These are the 3 things I mentioned." Master Cheng's heart was about to jump out of his chest. He looked at Sister Hong anxiously and said, "Speak." "First, you can't casually follow me," Sister Hong said softly. Master Cheng was thoroughly dissatisfied. "What are you talking about? If I don't follow you, how can we be husband and wife?" "No one wants to be your wife. Cheng Zheng, don't you understand?" Sister Hong was still indifferent. "Also, since you feel that you have a share in this child, you can see him. You can accompany me during my prenatal checkup, but we won't be together. After the child is born, you can come and see him once a week." When Master Ching heard that, he was unhappy. "Woman, aren't you being too much?" Sister Hong asked, "Is it too much?" Godfather Ching shouted, "How is this not too much? My son is mine. Why can I only see him once a week? Then how many times do you want to see him?" "I can arrange it," Sister Hong said softly. Master Ching looked at the woman in front of him as if he had lost his breath, then said softly, "Lu Hong, you're different from before." Chapter 5295. She smiled out faintly. "That's right, it's different now. Ching Zheng, do you really think that I'll wait for you at home forever, waiting for you to come back smelling of perfume and pretend that nothing happened? Or, even though I know that you don't want to get married, I still want to be with you because I don't think that you know what love is." Sister Hong's eyes were a little misty. "I've waited for you so many times, but this time around, I don't want to wait any longer. She continued calmly, when the child is older, I can arrange for you guys to be together. For example, staying at your place for a few days. Qingzheng, I'll try my best to be fair to you. That's the biggest concession I can make. When Master Qing heard that, he gritted his teeth. The biggest concession you can make. That sounds so civilized. It's easier to communicate with those gigolos of yours. I'm just a boor who doesn't understand such things. I'm just squinting my eyes. Something's not right. If you let the child stay with me for a while, are you going to find a man to enjoy yourself? Sister Hong did not want to hear those vulgarities as she turned her head around and said softly, Qingzheng, I'm still pregnant. Is that what you're saying? Instantly, Master Qing sobered up. He thought about it and realized that he might have gone overboard. Then, he recalled what Su Mu had said about how he was always unwilling to accept Sister Hong's way of thinking and life. Was that the reason why they were arguing right now as well? She was educated while he was a boor. He could say whatever he wanted. With Sister Hong's back facing him, Master Qing regretted his actions and went over to check. Her nose was a little red. He was scared. Was she crying? Master Qing leaned over to take a look. Indeed, she was crying. Instantly, his heart felt really bad as he coughed out. You're already an adult and you're still crying. Besides, you were the one who bullied me earlier on, forcing me to sign such a humiliating treaty. Su Mu, tell me, which man would be able to take that? Su Mu did not want to bother with him. She turned around and said softly, Qingzheng, if you don't agree to it, I'll have to go overseas. Overseas? Master Qing was stunned. If he went abroad, he really couldn't do anything. His identity had long been restricted, and he didn't even know a few words of Chinese. How could he adapt to going abroad? Besides, there were still many of his brothers here. He couldn't just throw away such a big mess. Master Qing reached out and touched his head, feeling rather awkward. After a while, he asked, Are you serious? Sister Hong didn't say anything. She just stood there. She didn't cry, but her eyes were red. Master Qing suddenly felt very uncomfortable. After a long time, he said in a hoarse voice, all right, I'm afraid of you, old woman. Isn't it just that we can't live together? Both your wife and child are mine. What's there to be afraid of? But then he narrowed his eyes again. But I won't allow you to interact with that gigolo, not even for a moment. If I find out, I'll take the child away. Sister Hong faintly said, Qingzheng, are you still going to be so unreasonable? If I was unreasonable, I wouldn't have agreed to such a humiliating condition. Lu Hong, don't push your luck. Let me tell you, I'm just a boor. Master Qing recalled what Su Mu had said and his voice got softer. Actually, it's rare for me to accommodate someone like this. Sister Hong looked at him quietly and said indifferently, then, I'll thank you. Chapter 5296. These words made Master Cheng's heart turn cold, an indescribable feeling. In the end, he said in a hoarse voice, as long as you're happy. Master Cheng was probably really sad, so he turned around and left. He was still squatting at the door, silent for a long time. He knew that this time, he couldn't use shameless methods to make her stay. He knew Lu Hong's character quite well. If she said she didn't want it, then she really didn't want it. If she said she wanted to go abroad, then she would really go abroad. Master Qing didn't want his son to have a blonde foreigner as his father in the future, and he also didn't want Lu Hong to have a foreigner as her husband. Thinking about his own woman being together with a foreigner, Master Qing couldn't accept it. Okay, let's just stay and be city. Whatever she said was fine. Sister Hong didn't want him to live at her place, so it was easy. He just bought a similar apartment downstairs and lived upstairs and downstairs every day. Therefore, on this day, Master Ching drove her back and carefully helped her sit on the sofa. He then attentively poured her a glass of water and observed that the auntie here was reliable. Only then did he cautiously say in a very fawning manner, I'll go back first. Sister Hong looked at him and smiled faintly. Okay. Master Ching added, I live downstairs, call me if you need anything. Sister Hong's expression didn't look too good. Master Ching immediately said, tomorrow, I'll install a bell. If you want to see me or miss a man, I'll be on call. At this time, the auntie came over with a plate of fruit. She couldn't stand it anymore and coughed lightly. Master Ching immediately changed his words. I mean, the child misses me, right? Sister Hong quietly said, you bought it downstairs, I remember there are people living downstairs. I offered double the price, of course they were willing. Master Ching used money to solve the problem as usual, which made Sister Hong so angry that she didn't say anything and just lightly drank her tea. Seeing her like that, Master Ching realized that she hadn't talked to him in such a soft voice for a long time. For a moment, he actually had a desire in his heart, hoping that she could talk to him more, even if it was to scold him. Sister Hong didn't want to go crazy with him. After drinking half a cup of water, she said that she wanted to rest. The auntie helped her up. Master Ching immediately said, I'll do this kind of rough work. Sister Hong glanced at him, and he obediently stood still. He seemed to be at a loss as to what to do. The auntie helped Hong Jia into the bedroom. The auntie smiled, Mr. Ching is such a big boy, but he's actually quite afraid of you. Sister Hong lay down comfortably and said, he's not afraid of me, he's just guilty. After a moment of absent-mindedness, she said softly, he's always been like this. When he gets better, he'll be like before. The auntie covered her with a blanket and said softly, if you really can't accept it, you can live by yourself. Anyway, you have a child, and you have money and status. You don't have to worry about not being able to find a good man. Sister Hong smiled bitterly. It was easier said than done. As long as Ching Jing kept pestering her, she would never be able to find a man. Now that she said that they would have a child in the future, it would be even uglier if they quarreled. Now that she was pregnant, she didn't want to think about these things. It was good to be alone for the time being. Seeing that she was lying down, the auntie settled everything before leaving. Master Ching was still standing there alone. He looked like a big cat. The auntie laughed, Mr. Ching, you haven't left yet? Master Cheng's voice was a little soft and gentle, is she asleep? The auntie nodded seriously, yes, she is. Chapter 5297. Master Ching touched his head. That's good. How's the child? The auntie laughed again. How can you tell? The child is still young. Moreover, it's in the stomach. How can you tell with the naked eye? Master Ching nodded in agreement. That's true. Then, he thought about it again. The pregnancy checkup would be in half a month. He would accompany her there. Wouldn't he be able to see the baby then? Master Ching liked sons. Sons were strong and could withstand falling. After giving birth to a son, he would give birth to his most precious daughter. That way, the brother could protect his sister. But then, Master Ching thought bitterly. She couldn't even touch him. How could she give birth to a child? Master Cheng's heart was cold. While she was sleeping, he went downstairs. Xiao Mao was cleaning his new apartment. The apartment was decorated warmly. It was pink and girlish. It was a little funny for a man like him to live in it. But thinking about it, if Lu Hong came to see it one day, she would definitely be happy. Master Ching sat on the sofa and asked Xiao Mao about the business. Xiao Mao told him in a soft voice. Master Cheng was stunned. Why do you speak like a woman? Be more normal. How are you going to do big things in the future? Xiao Mao immediately returned to normal. Master Ching said, that's more like it. Be like the people around me. Even though you're my people, don't act like eunuchs all the time. You're a joke. Xiao Mao felt wronged and said, oh. Master Cheng asked a few more questions before closing his eyes. Be careful when you go out. That me guy ran away. You have to be careful. He was able to get to where he was today because he had a few tricks up his sleeve. Xiao Mao nodded and said confidently, I've also sent people to protect Sister Hong. There are capable brothers on the upper floor 24 hours a day. Master Cheng was surprised. He didn't even instruct Xiao Mao to do it. So, he nodded. Good job. You can do big things. Xiao Mao immediately said shyly, Master Ching just said that I'm like a eunuch. Master Ching saw that he was coming again and kicked him. Go and fuck, you're acting like this again. I'm so scared. You're like a woman. Little Mao laughed and walked over, do I lack women? Why don't you bring a few good ones over? Master Chang's eyes widened. Don't you want to work anymore? You want to play with women. Your sister Hong lives upstairs. Then get a villa. Master Ching can relax there when he has time. Xiao Mao suggested. It wasn't that he wasn't loyal to Sister Hong. It was just that men were like this. Sister Hong was pregnant and she was ignoring Master Ching. Master Ching had always been a man with a big appetite. If they didn't get back together in a few years, Master Ching would be a vegetarian for the next few years. That was absolutely impossible. Therefore, Xiao Mao was prepared to present the young girl to Master Ching. Master Ching rolled his eyes. Did I say I wanted to relax? He patted the sofa on both sides. I'm here alone. You don't know how relaxed I am. Xiao Mao was dumbfounded. After a long time, he finally said, Master Ching, you're really going to be a vegetarian. In the past, Master Ching would feel weak if he didn't eat meat for a day. Recently, he had endured for a long time. How many more years did he want to endure? Would it work? Xiao Mao was skeptical. Master Ching didn't really believe that he could control himself, but he wanted to give it a try. He said softly, Xiao Mao, do you know? I'm happy, but I don't want your sister Hong to cry again. Xiao Mao was stunned. Master Ching, this is true love. Chapter 5298. Master Ching thought for a moment. I don't know if it's love, and I don't understand these things either. I just don't want to see her cry. I feel uncomfortable seeing her cry, and I'm willing to do anything for her. It's that simple. Xiao Mao held it in for a while, then asked carefully, Master Ching, you love Sister Hong as a brother. Think twice. After saying that, he retreated. Master Ching stared at Xiao Mao blankly. Xiao Mao didn't dare to speak and just looked at Master Ching. Master Ching didn't say anything and took out a cigarette. After smoking for a long time, he said softly, I don't look for women, I don't play around. If I stay by her side every day, will I be able to touch her one day? Xiao Mao felt uncomfortable hearing that. Master Ching was also a sentimental person. Master Ching said again, actually, I know that she looks down on me. I'm even more hateful than Zhang Fucai. Master Ching smoked his cigarette, thinking about the woman upstairs. He couldn't calm down. His woman was upstairs, but he couldn't see or touch her. To Master Ching, this was really a very uncomfortable thing. Xiao Mao persuaded from the side, after a long time, sister-in-law will change her mind. Is that so? Master Ching smiled faintly. Why do I feel that she will never forgive me? He abruptly slapped himself in the face. Who asked you not to cherish her? Who asked you to fool around with women? Now, she doesn't care about you and doesn't forgive you. The child will still be seen once a week in the future. When she goes on vacation with the gigolo, you still have to take care of the child. Thinking about it, Master Ching slapped himself again. Who asked you to not be able to control yourself? Who asked you to show off? You deserve it. Xiao Mao looked at him, thinking that Master Ching was crazy. Master Ching wasn't crazy, he just thought it through. In the following days, Master Cheng's work and rest were like 9 to 5. During the day, he would go home early after finishing his work. Sometimes, he would shamelessly go upstairs to eat. The auntie told him a few times that Sister Hong didn't want to see him. However, Master Ching was so shameless that he refused to leave. The auntie couldn't do anything about it. Sister Hong came out of the room. Her belly was already quite big. She held her bag in her hand. I'm going for a checkup. Help me drive. When Master Ching heard this, he jumped up and said, Okay, I'll be the coachman and take a look at what this kid looks like. Sister Hong didn't say anything, but the auntie's eyes secretly reddened. Really, he looked like a good father now. Why didn't he cherish him back then? Thinking that their relationship had improved, Master Ching wanted to help Sister Hong, but Sister Hong faintly refused. I can walk by myself. Master Ching was disappointed for a while, but he quickly forced a smile and said, Then be careful. It's not convenient for you to see the road with a big belly. Actually, it's better to support you. No one paid any attention to his rambling, and he didn't feel embarrassed at all. The auntie thought that this Mr. Ching was not bad-looking, had a bad temper, and was especially thick-skinned. How did Miss Lu fall in love with him? Master Ching trotted all the way to serve him. He looked even more like a lackey than Xiao Mao. He looked like a big brother, doing the work of a lackey, which was somewhat ridiculous. Sister Hong pursed her lips. All right, don't act like this. It's disgusting. Master Ching touched his head. I thought you liked the feeling of being valued. Sister Hong cursed in her heart. She didn't say anything and just sat in Master Cheng's car. Master Ching carefully fastened the seatbelt for her and said very cautiously, Be careful. You have to fasten the seatbelt in the back seat too. Chapter 5299. Sister Hong looked at him and finally asked the question in her heart, Do you really want to have a son? Everything you're doing now is for this child. She didn't forget that he didn't want to get married because she couldn't have children. This was an indelible damage to Sister Hong, even more than him finding other women outside. Master Ching was stunned for a moment and slowly got up. When he was about to close the car door, he said, There are many women who want to give me children. When have I ever served anyone like this? He didn't say anything else and directly got into the car and started it. Along the way, Master Ching didn't say anything, as if he was angry. Sister Hong didn't pay attention to him. Whether he was angry or not had nothing to do with her. If he couldn't stand it, he could just leave and not pester her. She could still have peace. When they arrived at the hospital, Master Ching parked the car steadily and said, I'm a little angry, but for the sake of the past, I won't be angry with you. He had been silent the whole way and controlled himself to not strangle this woman to death. Sister Hong only felt that he was weird. She entered the clinic building. She had an appointment with the doctor and this was a very expensive private hospital, so there weren't many people and the environment was very good. Master Ching obediently followed behind. Later, the more he walked in, the more he saw that the pregnant women were supported by their husbands, looking very loving. He followed. "Hey, woman, if you beg me, I can help you too." Sister Hong glanced at him and didn't want to look anymore. "No need." Master Ching frowned. "Hey, woman, I'm kind and looking at others. Don't you envy them?" Sister Hong said mercilessly, "If it wasn't for the accidental pregnancy, I would have been talking about marriage with Professor Lin. There's no need to envy others." Master Ching was very dissatisfied. "What's so good about that gigolo? He can't even take a punch from me." But then he grinned. "Speaking of which, this kid is awesome. He helped his father kill off his love rival." As he said that, he was extremely proud. Seeing that he was the same as before, Sister Hong ignored him and went straight to the examination. She didn't object to Master Ching following her. The doctor did an ultrasound. When the small thing moved slightly, a rough man like Master Ching actually wanted to cry. He endured it for a while before saying in a small voice, "This child is pretty good, right?" The doctor smiled. "Of course it's good. Its life force is extremely strong." Master Ching rubbed his hands excitedly. "I wonder if it's a man or a woman." The doctor rolled his eyes at him. "What era are we living in? Why do you still differentiate between men and women?" Master Ching chuckled. "I'm just curious. There's no such thing as valuing boys over girls. Why don't you ask Lu Hong?" "I like both boys and girls. I just want to have an older brother who loves and cares for his younger sister." Just like that, the doctor smiled. "That's a good idea. It might come true." As soon as he said that, Grandpa Ching stared at the doctor in disbelief. Then, he shouted, "I have a son." "That's what you mean, I have a son. The Ching family's bloodline has been passed down." The doctor thought to himself, "This bastard. What a hypocrite. Just now, he said that all children were the same. Now, he's showing his true colors." Sister Hong also felt that it was quite embarrassing. When they left, she walked in front while Master Ching followed behind like a mistress who had done something wrong. He carefully accompanied her. "I'm a rough man. I'm just speaking my mind. It's not against the law to speak my mind, right? Besides, isn't it good to have a boy inherit the family business?" Chapter 5300. Is he going to fight and kill with you? Sister Hong asked coldly. Master Ching felt a little embarrassed and scratched his head. "How about he inherits from you? In the future, our son will be a civilized person, unlike his father who is a jerk and does whatever you say. How about that?" Sister Hong didn't want to listen to his nonsense and continued walking. Master Ching jogged along and opened the car door for Sister Hong. He even specially fastened the seatbelt. "Be careful, don't touch my son. He's the first baby." Master Ching was happy and shameless. It was rare to see a man as thick-skinned as him. However, it was also a good thing. Sister Hong sat in the back of the car and was a little tired. Master Ching whispered, "Why don't I take you to eat something? These days, you don't seem to have much of an appetite. This can't go on. Our son doesn't have enough nutrition. Didn't the television say that we can't lose at the starting line?" Sister Hong was a little annoyed. "You're so annoying." Master Ching chuckled. "I'm just worried about our son. Are you unhappy?" As he said that, he thickened his skin and said a few more shameless words. He was living like a monk now, so he could only move his lips. Seeing that she didn't object, Master Ching drove to a private restaurant. Because Sister Hong was pregnant, Master Ching considerately booked a private room. However, when they entered, they coincidentally bumped into Professor Lin's family. It wasn't just them. There was another family with a rather good-looking girl who was probably on a blind date. The atmosphere was rather subtle, especially when Professor Lin stared at Sister Hong's stomach. If something had happened between him and Sister Hong, he could have said that the child was his. However, they were innocent, and there was no way he could lie to himself. Sister Hong was quite calm. She nodded and went to the private room with Master Ching. After they left, Mother Lin said, "It's really a pity for Reporter Lu. She's such a good woman with money and status, but she ended up with such an uncouth man." Master Ching didn't walk far and heard it. If it was in the past, he would most likely turn around and beat up that old woman. However, he remembered that Sister Hong was pregnant, so he could only endure it. But at the same time, Master Cheng's pride was indeed hurt. In the past, he had so many women, including many university students, but no one had ever looked down on him for being uncultured. That was because they didn't dare to. But with Lu Hong, more than one person said that. He looked at himself. He was quite civilized. He asked Sister Hong in a low voice, "Do you dislike me too?" Sister Hong replied indifferently, "There's no relationship between us. There's no need to say that I despise you." Master Cheng was hurt again. He rubbed his nose and entered the private room to eat. Outside, the girl on the blind date thought she was knowledgeable and smiled obediently. "That man looks rich. Reporter Lu must be with him for the money." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Songwen's face sank. In other words, there was no future between him and this girl. Although he and Sister Hong were not fated to be together, he was still unhappy when an unrelated person said such things about her. The girl was very satisfied with Professor Lin. She wanted to get to know him better after dinner, but was mercilessly rejected. The girl was confused. "Professor Lin, I thought we were getting along well." "That's what you think." Professor Lin said indifferently, "Reporter Lu is my ex-girlfriend. She's a very good person. It's not like what you said. You don't know the whole picture and you just reject a person like that. I'm sorry, I can't accept it." Chapter 5301. The girl was completely stunned by Professor Lin's words. She really didn't expect him to care so much about her unintentional words. She was just speaking the truth. Who didn't know that Reporter Lu was using Master Ching to get her position? If it wasn't for money, what else could it be? Now that she had a child, why couldn't Professor Lin let it go? She was somewhat unconvinced in her heart, but she couldn't say it out loud. Lin Congwen remained indifferent, probably as if he had made up his mind. In the end, the meal ended on a sour note. On the other side, Sister Hong was carefully served by Master Ching. Master Ching served her as if she was his own mother. He served her tea and was indeed very attentive. Even so, Sister Hong still didn't give him a good look. Her expression was still indifferent. Master Ching was quite sad. He had been lying low for so many days, but it didn't seem to have any effect at all. As he served Sister Hong the dishes, he asked, "Tell me, how can we get back together? As long as you say it, I'll do it for you even if I have to pluck the moon from the sky." Sister Hong asked him faintly, "How are you going to pluck the moon from the sky?" Master Cheng was stumped. He chuckled, "Let me think. Did you really take it for real? Boring." Sister Hong didn't want to talk to him and took a sip of water. Master Cheng was trying to make her happy, but the words of a man who had been empty for a long time were simply unbearable. Sister Hong couldn't take it anymore and said, "I'm going to the washroom." Then, she went to the washroom, leaving Master Cheng sitting there alone to eat. Master Cheng's heart was in a mess. Eating alone was also very energetic. After a while, he thought that something was wrong. Lin Congwen, that pretty boy, was also eating here. So, he bent down and felt his way over. He was very concerned about Sister Hong's matter now. He wouldn't give any other man a chance. What a joke. Not only did he have a wife now, he also had a son. He couldn't let others take advantage of him. Just as Master Ching got up, Sister Hong did indeed meet Professor Lin in the washroom. Or, Professor Lin deliberately waited for her. When he saw her coming, he immediately followed her. While Sister Hong was washing her hands, Lin Congwen called her name, Reporter Liu. Sister Hong turned her head. It's you. Professor Lin smiled. That's me. How are you doing? Sister Hong smiled. It's all right. What about you? The young lady who went on a blind date just now was pretty good. Of course, Professor Lin didn't tell them what had just happened. He just smiled and said, it's all right. Sister Hong smiled. That's good. Isn't that good? Songwen, don't forget to tell me when you get married. I'll give you a big red packet. Lin Congwen smiled bitterly. She really didn't care about him, or rather, she never really liked him. Otherwise, how could she be so magnanimous? People who loved each other would actually try everything to be together. She didn't like him that much and only saw him as someone suitable for marriage, but he lacked the courage. Therefore, they did not insist. It was quite good. Just as Lin Congwen was about to say goodbye to Sister Hong, Master Ching popped out of nowhere and said in a strange tone, I thought you were really going to the washroom. So, it turns out you're an old lover. What's wrong? Do you want me to help you? Sister Hong hated this side of him the most. As she washed her hands, she said coldly, Mr. Ching, do you think you can control who I talk to? This time, Master Ching was furious. She didn't even care about him and openly flirted with a pretty boy. Chapter 5302. Master Cheng's fiery temper flared up and he did not care about anyone. He was about to beat them up, but he held himself back. He lowered his voice and asked, What are you guys doing? Sister Hong washed her hands and said slowly, We're rekindling our relationship. Didn't you say that just now? Master Cheng wanted to flare up, but he suppressed his anger and said gruffly, It's not that I don't want you to talk to others, but you have to avoid arousing suspicion. We're both unmarried. Why should I avoid it? Sister Hong asked. Master Cheng was stumped by the question. He scratched his head and couldn't say a word. After a while, he looked at Professor Lin and said politely, Professor Lin was on a blind date just now. How was it? That girl is young and pretty. I think she has a big pelvis too. I'm sure she can give birth to a string of sons for you. So, you don't have to keep an eye on me. Professor Lin was annoyed and amused at the same time. He felt helpless. He was a gentleman, but he did not know how to win in a relationship. Although Master Ching was annoying, he had to admit that he had a way with women. Professor Lin sighed and said something against his will, I'm getting along well with that girl. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Ching. It's my pleasure. Master Ching touched his head and said generously, Oh right, Professor Lin, don't forget to tell me when you get married. I'll personally go to your house and set off the firecrackers. I'll also give you a big red packet. These words were simply unacceptable. Professor Lin lowered his gaze and smiled. All right, I'll definitely inform Mr. Ching when the time comes. Master Ching was satisfied. Then, he looked at his woman and said, Are you satisfied now? I was very polite to your ex-boyfriend. I didn't touch him at all. You have to be a civilized person. You can learn slowly. Professor Lin looked at Sister Hong. She was also helpless. All right, let's go back. Did he not feel embarrassed enough? Master Cheng had a strong point. He did not know that he was embarrassed and was happy about it. Professor Lin pursed his lips and looked at their backs. Although Sister Hong had not relented, women were afraid of pestering men. As long as Master Cheng did not ask for trouble, he was afraid. However, Qing Zheng was an impatient person. She might not be able to hold on after one or two. This time, Master Cheng still had a rare amount of patience. No matter how harsh Sister Hong's words were, he just followed behind her like a wolf dog, enjoying it endlessly. Sister Hong felt somewhat helpless as well. Sister Hong's belly was getting bigger and bigger, so she didn't go to the news agency much. However, there were still some things that she approved. Initially, Du Meili was the one who sent the documents over, and sometimes it was Zhang Fucai. Master Cheng had a toothache when he saw the two of them, especially his ex-husband's brother, so he volunteered to help Sister Hong with her bonus. Sister Hong's body was heavy, so after thinking about it, she agreed. Master Cheng was rich. He took the envelope from Sister Hong and added another card to the VIP's card. Zhang Fucai gave him 3 million yuan, and Du Meili gave him 1 million yuan. The two of them looked at Master Cheng, then at each other. Master Cheng sat on the sofa in a dignified manner and coughed lightly. "Oh right, this is for the two of you. It's my personal allowance. In the future, if there's any important documents, just let me deliver them. Say, as Sister Hong's man, if I don't contribute at all, I'll be despised for doing nothing every day." Do nothing. More like doing nothing. Zhang Fucai and Du Meili were well aware that although the money was particularly tempting, they didn't take it. Pushing the card back to Master Cheng, Zhang Fucai said lightly, "I've done something wrong to Sister Hong. Later, it turned out that she's generous and open-minded, and I'm not worthy of her." Du Meili also said, Yes, Master Cheng, we don't want to let her down anymore." Master Cheng glared at them. "I just want you to be a villain so that I can highlight my glorious image." Du Meili and Zhang Fucai looked at each other face to face, but they didn't dare to say anything. How could he be so shameless? Master Cheng never thought that he was shameless. Originally, a series of punches was enough to make the two of them submit, but Mumu was right. If he wanted to be a civilized person, he had to win people over with virtue. However, these two people were so stubborn that Master Cheng wanted to beat them up, but after thinking about it, he endured it. However, at this time, Zhang Fucai said, "We can't take the money, but I can talk to Sister Hong about Master Cheng's request." Master Cheng was amused. "Zhang Fucai, I didn't know that you're so conscious now. Okay, if you need anything in the future, I'll definitely do it for you. By the way, there's also this beautiful lady. The three of us won't get to know each other if we don't fight. How about this? I'll set up a table tonight, and the three of us will become sworn brothers. We'll have a drink all the time." Zhang Fucai and Du Meili were stunned. Was it a joke to swear brotherhood to Master Cheng? Master Cheng glared at them. "What? Are you unwilling? Are you looking down on me?" Du Meili swallowed her saliva. "How can I be unwilling? How could he dare to be unwilling?" Master Cheng immediately felt like a spring breeze. "Okay, then it's a deal. We'll eat seafood tonight. Unfortunately, your Sister Hong can't go. Later, you have to comfort her and say good things about me. Then she'll probably be in a good mood." They were all writers, but Zhang Fucai and Du Meili couldn't find any logic in Master Cheng's words. However, Master Cheng felt that what he said was right and good. Master Cheng was full of confidence, so he left first. Only Zhang Fucai and Du Meili were left looking at each other. Du Meili looked at him. "You really want to help him? Zhang Fucai, you're not loyal enough. Didn't he hurt Sister Hong enough? It's not like you didn't see how sad she was at that time. Adults didn't want outsiders to know about their sadness. Sister Hong looked good on the surface, but she was actually hurt on the inside. Zhang Fucai said sullenly, I didn't take any money. Actually, I can see that Qing guy seems to be sincere about Sister Hong. Sincere? If he was sincere, he would go and play with girls. He played so crazily that the whole world knew that Sister Hong was cheated on by him. How could he not feel embarrassed? Du Meili didn't have much confidence. Sister Hong is such a strong person. At that time, she endured it and waited for him at home every day. That bastard is having so much fun outside. Because the two of them had also cheated on Sister Hong, the two of them fell silent. After a while, Zhang Fucai said, we can't care so much. Let's wait and see. Anyway, the initiative is in our Sister Hong's hands. If Sister Hong doesn't say anything, he won't dare to do anything. I think this bastard is quite afraid of Sister Hong. Du Meili also laughed. I think so. He's quite afraid. Zhang Fucai thought about it and felt a little proud. Master Cheng was such a powerful person, but he still fell. Now, he could only show off in front of them. In front of Sister Hong, he didn't even dare to fart. Just thinking about it made one word. Awesome. Chapter 5303. That night, Master Cheng brought Zhang Fucai and Du Meili to a table. At the wine table, Master Cheng and the two of them confided their hearts to each other. Xiao Mao was eagerly trying to persuade them to drink. Zhang Fucai had always been a person who loved wine and women, so he was immediately coaxed and began to confide in Master Cheng. Master Cheng hadn't drunk like this in a long time. These days, he was like a monk. He didn't drink or get close to women. He was really happy today. Master Cheng had all kinds of fun. Du Meili looked at Zhang Fucai and was infuriated. Men are bastards. Dogs can't stop eating shit. The two of them were birds of a feather. Sure enough, after eating and drinking, Zhang Fucai revealed his true colors. Master Cheng, I heard that the girl over there is very tender. How about you take me to broaden my horizons? Master Cheng was eating and was surprised to hear this. However, he still ate a mouthful of food and fiercely chewed. Don't you have a wife? Why are you still looking for a girl? He looked at Du Meili. Besides, aren't you two in that kind of relationship? Why? Aren't you afraid that she'll be angry? Zhang Fucai looked like he was indulging in alcohol, women, avarice, and anger. The alcohol had given him some courage. He glanced at Du Meili and smiled. Meili and I have been clean for a long time. Otherwise, how could we work for Sister Hong? We're both men. Du Meili was furious. If Master Cheng wasn't here, she would have slapped this bastard. She thought that he wanted to turn over a new leaf. Didn't they agree to turn over a new leaf together? At this moment, Zhang Fucai squinted his eyes and looked at Master Cheng. Master Cheng put down the glass in his hand and smiled. You want to find a girl? Sure. Xiao Mao, help my brother find a beautiful girl. As for me. Master Cheng smiled. There's no need. I'm a man who wants to keep his chastity. Zhang Fucai said in a loud voice and raised his glass. Let me toast Master Cheng. Du Meili was a little dumbfounded. At this moment, Master Cheng sat down again and smiled. You dare to test me? You really aren't a good person. Zhang Fucai smiled. She's an ex-wife after all. I have to open my eyes for her. I can't misjudge a man and divorce him again, right? After saying that, Master Cheng's expression changed. Zhang Fucai knew that he had said the wrong thing, so he took the initiative to raise his cup. I said the wrong thing. Let's drink first. Master Ching just smiled and didn't say anything else. He just kept quiet. Later, the two men really let loose and drank. They called each other brothers and said all kinds of things. It was inconvenient for a woman like Du Meili to listen, so she found an excuse to leave first. Later, Master Cheng and Zhang Fucai drank until they collapsed on the table. Xiao Mao called him, Master Cheng, it's getting late, you should go back. Master Cheng looked up. What time is it? Xiao Mao said softly, it's almost midnight. Let's go back. Sister Hong is still waiting for us at home. Master Cheng let out a long sigh. All right, let's go. Arrange for someone to send this damn fatty back. Don't worry, Master Cheng, leave this small matter to me. Xiao Mao found Master Cheng's arm and supported his master. He asked the manager to send Zhang Fucai away. Xiao Mao generously left 2,000 yuan. When Master Cheng returned to his room, he was burning with alcohol. At this moment, he especially missed the woman who lived upstairs. Her belly was round. Although it was a little ridiculous and not beautiful at all, she was quite cute. Moreover, that was his woman, his son. Master Cheng missed her very much. He really wanted to talk to her, even if it was just to talk. That woman was now soft-spoken to everyone except him, as if he owed her a lot of money. He owed her a debt of love, but he also gave her a son. Moreover, he was willing to treat her well. She could do whatever she wanted. She could hit him every day, scold him, treat him like a slave. Master Cheng's heart was burning. He really couldn't help but run over and knock on Sister Hong's door. Xiao Mao was scared to death. He desperately tried to stop him. Master Cheng, Sister Hong is pregnant. What are you trying to do? Master Cheng's heart was burning. Taking advantage of the alcohol, he kicked him. What can I do? I just want to see her. As he said that, he knocked twice. Xiao Mao felt wronged. He whispered, Master Cheng, you said you wanted to be a civilized man. What can a civilized man eat? Master Cheng sneered. Can't I see my son? Suddenly, he became discouraged and squatted in the corner. I haven't seen this woman for 2 days. She's really cruel. As he said that, he touched his head and then scratched his head. He really looked extremely distressed. Xiao Mao was also distressed. He whispered, then we can come back tomorrow. It's not early now, Master Cheng. Master Cheng held his chin and squatted like a big dog. I'll wait here for tomorrow. This time, Xiao Mao really had no choice. After a while, the door opened. Chapter 5304. Updated quickly, the auntie looked at Master Cheng and whispered, Miss Lu is asleep. Why don't you come tomorrow? However, Master Cheng was so drunk that he still made a big fuss about meeting Sister Hong. The auntie was unhappy. She's pregnant, so she can't do less. As she said that, Sister Hong was already woken up. She put on a coat and looked at Master Cheng angrily. Cheng, why are you here in the middle of the night? She looked at the auntie, who was helpless. He's too noisy, I'm afraid he'll wake you up. Sister Hong rolled her eyes. Let him in. He's sleeping on the sofa. If he dares to make a sound, throw him out immediately. The auntie heaved a sigh of relief and let him in. Sister Hong went back to her room. Unexpectedly, Master Cheng also followed him like a big dog. Sister Hong frowned. Why are you following me? Master Cheng didn't say anything and just looked at her. Sister Hong sneered. Why are you following me? There are so many girls out there. Don't you have legs? Run over, there are many rich girls who will be willing to follow you. Master Ching lowered his head. I don't want them, I want you. Sister Hong fell asleep. He didn't dare to follow her, so he just leaned against the bed. To be able to be with her peacefully like this, he felt that it was a great gift from the heavens. Master Ching leaned against the bed and the alcohol kicked in, so he fell asleep unknowingly. He fell asleep, but Sister Hong couldn't sleep. Pregnant women were light sleepers to begin with, and now that Master Ching was snoring and sleeping soundly, it made her angry again. Sister Hong was angry, but there was nothing she could do. In the end, she could only lie down and look at the ceiling quietly. She didn't sleep well last night, so she woke up early in the morning with a bad complexion. On the other hand, Master Ching woke up feeling refreshed. One look and he could see that the bedroom was quiet and beautiful. He stretched and felt comfortable all over. He hadn't slept so well in a long time. He ran out and saw his woman eating nutritious breakfast and listening to music. Old Master Ching was delighted. He went over and touched his tummy. This brat will definitely be refined when he grows up. He won't be as crude as his father. Ha, brat, learn from your mother. Don't be like your father. Sister Hong looked at him with a complicated look in her eyes. Master Ching had always been thick-skinned. Instead of feeling ashamed, he felt proud. But after a while, he noticed that Sister Hong's expression wasn't right. He looked at the auntie and asked, "Is she sick?" The auntie said unhappily, "I'm not sick. I just didn't sleep well." Master Ching scratched his head. "Why can't you sleep? Look at such a good house, money, and status. Wouldn't you be smiling even in your dreams?" The auntie said impolitely, "Mr. Ching, do you know that you snore? How can Miss Lu sleep like this?" Master Ching rubbed his head. "I'm snoring, so I'll seal my mouth to sleep in the future. Is that okay?" Sister Hong glanced at him. "Don't do it again. You're done with breakfast. Get lost." Master Ching didn't want to get lost, but he knew that it wouldn't end well if he didn't. Master Ching slowly ate his breakfast. After he was done, he carefully helped Sister Hong back to the bedroom. "Go back to sleep. I'll leave immediately. I won't disturb you." Sister Hong glanced at him. He smiled. This brat is really noisy. He must be a spirited guy. Sister Hong closed her eyes and sighed faintly. Get lost. Chapter 5305. She wasn't so against Master Chang's appearance now, but she wasn't prepared to accept him. Based on what? Master Ching still had some fantasies in his heart. He thought that her heart would soften after giving birth to the child. Sister Hong didn't say anything to him and closed her eyes to rest. Master Ching went back. After thinking about it, he felt that the progress was too slow. Sister Hong wouldn't let him touch a single hair on her body. He was also quite anxious. If this continued, when would he be able to make it? He had the urge to argue with her, but he was also a little afraid. Just like that, the days passed one by one. After the new year, the flowers bloomed in spring. Sister Hong's belly grew bigger and bigger. But strangely, this woman would wear a loose floral dress and an ice silk cardigan. Her belly was obviously big, but why did it look so much better than before? Every time, Master Ching especially wanted to get closer to her, but he was a little afraid that she would give him a slap. Just like that, the days passed. When Master Ching saw Sister Hong, his eyes were like a big wild wolf that couldn't be hidden no matter what. Sister Hong ignored him, her attitude was the same as before. Today, her belly was already 9 months old, and she was close to giving birth. Master Ching was happy. This kid was finally coming out. He had tormented his father quite a bit. Yesterday, Master Ching had already cleaned the car. Moreover, it was a limousine, so she was guaranteed to sit comfortably in it. The auntie also followed. This time, she was going to stay there to wait for the birth. Master Ching whistled, feeling very proud. He was going to have a son soon. The stretch luxury car slowly started and drove in the direction of the hospital. Master Ching was whistling as he drove. His mood was soaring. Sister Hong felt that he was quite boring, so she turned her head and looked out of the car window. Master Ching looked at her from the rearview mirror and grinned. In a while, we'll stay in the best ward, and the best doctor will operate on you. We'll choose the best time. Our son must be perfect. Sister Hong felt that he was really boring. The auntie covered her mouth and laughed. Mr. Ching is really funny. He thinks it's funny. Auntie, don't learn from him. Sister Hong snorted softly. The auntie pursed her lips and smiled, unable to contain her joy. One had to know that after enduring for so many months, they were finally going to see the light of day. Moreover, a little person was going to be born. This was something that anyone would be happy about. Master Ching was very happy. He was whistling as he drove. When the phone rang, he picked it up. Little Mao, what's up? Xiao Mao's voice was especially anxious. Master Ching, are you outside? I've received news that the one surnamed me is having a miserable time outside and wants to come back to take revenge on you. I've heard from my brother that he's waiting at Sister Hong's place, saying that he wants Master Ching to have no son. Master Ching ground his white teeth and cursed. At this moment, he suddenly saw a white car following him from the rearview mirror. Master Ching made 2 turns, but the car was still following him. Master Ching immediately said to Xiao Mao, I'll lead the car to the 328 National Highway. You'll meet me there. Xiao Mao immediately agreed and hung up the phone. Sister Hong sensed that something was wrong and asked in a low voice, Qingjing, what happened? Master Ching drove and said in a calm voice, it's just a small matter. Take a pillow and hold it in your arms. If anything happens later, remember to protect yourself. We can still have a son. Sister Hong was extremely nervous. At this moment, her stomach suddenly hurt, however, she did not dare to say it, afraid that it would affect Qingjing. Master Ching said as he spoke, let's not go to the hospital first. We'll meet up with Xiao Mao first. He has a way. After saying that, he said very softly, Lu Hong, the only woman that I've ever liked is you. Live well for me. Chapter 5306. Memorized. Sister Hong did not know what had happened, but she could feel the seriousness of the matter. She did not make a sound, afraid that she would disturb Qingjing. The auntie at the side was also very scared, shivering. Controlling the steering wheel, Master Ching gritted his teeth. Bastard, how dare you lay a hand on me? He narrowed his eyes, turned the steering wheel, and drove toward State Highway 328. After driving for a while, Master Ching said softly, it's okay. We'll be safe after this. Sister Hong regained her composure and said sternly, Qingjing, even though you're despicable, I won't allow anything to happen to you. Do you hear me? She was already in a lot of pain, but she had to endure it, because if Qingjing was distracted, all of them would be finished. At that moment, there were 4 cars behind them, and they were getting closer and closer. Master Ching was getting a little impatient. If it was in the past, he would have risked his life without fear of death, but now that his wife and child were in the car, he didn't even dare to play with his own life. He drove steadily, and from time to time, he would confirm the position with Xiao Mao. Only a few kilometers left. Very good. At this time, Master Ching also noticed that Sister Hong's stomach was hurting. He frowned and then changed his tone into a relaxed one. Wife, did you know? I've deposited all my assets in a Swiss bank, tens of billions of dollars in your name. In such a tense atmosphere, the auntie actually let out a few sounds. So much money. Master Ching did not make a sound. He secretly looked at the situation through the rearview mirror and stepped on the accelerator. Damn it, I'm about to give birth. Ching Zheng, don't worry about me. Sister Hong's forehead began to sweat, and her dress was soaked. She gritted her teeth. We all have to live. Master Ching agreed. As he drove, he looked at the situation behind him. The car was only about 10 meters away. If it came up to them at any time, it could squeeze their car into a pancake. He yelled at Xiao Mao, where is she? Your sister-in-law is about to give birth. Xiao Mao said anxiously, we'll be there soon. There was still 1 kilometer left. Master Ching, you hold on. After Xiao Mao finished speaking, he had the courage to cut his losses. At this time, he, Xiao Mao, was willing to die for Master Ching. Xiao Mao's life was originally given by Master Ching. Xiao Mao drove the car and shouted to his subordinates through the walkie-talkie, drive as fast as you can. Sister-in-law is about to give birth. More than 10 cars whizzed forward and were about to meet Master Ching. On Master Cheng's side, the atmosphere was tense. As the car approached 120, Sister Hong's stomach was in pain. She bit her lips and refused to make a sound. Beside her, the auntie comforted her, it'll be over soon. Just bear with it. Sister Hong agreed, but her forehead was still drenched in sweat. In such a painful and frightening moment, she finally called out the name of the man she once loved and hated. Cheng Zhang. Master Ching was driving. When he heard this, a tear rolled down from the corner of his eye. He immediately wiped it away. He was a man, so how could he cry like a woman? That's all right, he said hoarsely, his voice unbelievably soft. At this moment, the back of the car shook violently. Master Ching cursed under his breath. This bunch of dogs. Are you okay? He quickly stepped on the accelerator and asked loudly. Sister Hong didn't say anything. The auntie's voice was filled with fear. Mr. Cheng, I'm afraid Miss Liu is going to have a difficult delivery, there's so much blood. Master Cheng's eyes reddened. It was his fault for getting her pregnant and implicating her. At this moment, another loud sound came from behind and the car shook violently. Master Ching let out a roar like an animal. He looked at the rearview mirror and saw 3 cars approaching from behind. There was no way for him to retreat. Auntie, please take care of her in the future. If the child is still around, please take care of him too, Master Ching said in a low voice. The auntie was shocked. Before she could say anything, she felt the car colliding with the front of the car. Master Cheng's position had collided with the other car and the back of the car fell to the safest spot. 200 meters ahead, Xiao Mao exclaimed, Master Ching. Master Ching couldn't hear it anymore. His head and body were covered in blood, but he still struggled to look at the rearview mirror. Xiao Mao's car was approaching. After that, Sister Hong was sent to the hospital. She was bleeding profusely and her body was already a blur. But she still held on to the auntie's hand and repeated a person's name. Cheng Zheng. Cheng Zheng. Is he still there? The auntie clenched her fist. Mr. Cheng is in the emergency room. You can give birth in peace. Chapter 5307. Updated quickly, when Sister Hong was in the operating room, she was covered in blood. The pain made her unable to tell if she was dead or alive. She blinked softly and looked up at the white ceiling helplessly. This is the hospital, right? Where is Qingzheng? Is he still alive? In the midst of the heart-wrenching pain, Sister Hong tried her best to recall that moment, wondering if Qingzheng was still alive. At that moment, all the love and hate didn't matter, as long as he was alive. Tears slid down the corner of her eyes, and her body was numb with pain. It was difficult to give birth to a child, and she had to undergo a C-section. However, after a short while in the delivery room, she felt a sharp pain. Sister Hong squeezed out the child in that pain. Qingzheng. She called out his name in a hoarse voice in that pain. When she opened her eyes again, she was surrounded by a clean expanse of whiteness, and she could smell a pleasant scent. When she opened her eyes again, there was a bouquet of red roses beside her bed. Sister Hong blinked. She couldn't believe it. Then, she heard a voice, "You're awake." It was Su Mu's voice. Sister Hong immediately turned around and looked over. Her body was a little painful, but she couldn't care less. Qingzheng, he's still alive. Su Mu came over and squatted by the bed. He's awake after the operation. Sister Hong looked at Su Mu and asked her quietly, what happened to him? Su Mu was silent for a while before replying softly, he only has one leg, so it might be a little inconvenient for him to walk in the future. Everything else is fine. Sister Hong was stunned and didn't say anything for a long time. Afraid that she would be sad, Su Mu pushed the baby over. Look, this is your son. He's very good-looking, isn't he? Sister Hong looked over. He was indeed beautiful. The pink baby looked peaceful and quiet, and it didn't seem like he was born in that kind of situation at all. The auntie also came over with a bowl of soup in her hand. But God has blessed us. Both mother and son are safe. Let's drink some soup. The little one will be hungry later. Sister Hong grunted and propped herself up to sit up. Her body felt weak. Su Mu took the soup and fed it mouthful by mouthful. She said, "Don't worry about them. Xiao Mao is taking care of them. Besides, Zhang Fucai is also very loyal. He has been using his connections to suppress the matter. He also put in a lot of effort over there. Last night, he didn't go home and stayed there." Sister Hong was taken aback. When did Zhang Fucai and Qingzheng have such a good relationship? Su Mu continued, "After this incident, that me fellow is finished." Sister Hong was silent for a moment. "Back then, I was the one who let him. In fact, I was the one who harmed him." Su Mu held Sister Hong's hand, not knowing how to comfort her. Sister Hong continued in a soft voice, "He used to be so awe-inspiring. I don't know if he'll be able to accept this." Su Mu choked for a moment before slowly saying, "He's pretty good. If it weren't for the inconvenience, he would have come to see you and the child. He said that he's not very cultured and asked you to name the child so that you can tell him." Sister Hong thought about it quietly for a moment. "Qing Mingyu." Su Mu smiled gently. "That's a pretty good name." Sister Hong drank the soup and felt tired again. She lay down and looked at her son quietly. After a while, little Yu woke up from hunger. Su Mu carefully placed him in Sister Hong's arms. Sister Hong looked at her son very gently. This little life, as well as hers, was exchanged for Qingzheng's leg. She didn't know why, but she felt like crying, but she couldn't cry, she could only quietly wipe her eyes. She didn't want others to see it. Chapter 5308. On the other side of the ward, Master Cheng's entire body was covered in bruises, and his leg was in a terrible state. He was lying on the bed with one leg hanging, and the doctor said that he wouldn't be able to walk for 3 months. 3 months, wasn't that asking for his life? His wife and child were still there, how could he see them? But Master Ching calmed down after a short while. He looked at his own leg, he would be a cripple in the future, and Sister Hong looked so beautiful and charming now. If he walked beside her, people would gossip about him, and their son didn't want a cripple for a father. Master Ching had always thought like a teddy, but at this moment, he felt a little inferior. He quietly lay on the bed and thought about it, and in the end, he still felt a little ashamed, so he didn't go to see them, and only asked Zhang Fucai to secretly take a photo for him to see. When he saw the pink baby, he almost cried. This was his son, Zhang Fucai said softly, Sister Hong is asking about you. Master Cheng was looking at the photo carefully, and when he heard that, he looked up. After a while, he said, oh, and started looking at the photo again. Zhang Fucai was a little anxious, don't you have anything to say? Master Cheng called Xiao Mao over, send a big red packet over, just say that it's not convenient for me to go over. Xiao Mao said in a high-pitched voice, Master Ching, we can push you over in the wheelchair. Sister-in-law will be discharged tomorrow, and it won't be easy to see her. Master Ching suddenly remembered that Sister Hong said she wanted to go abroad, and if she went abroad after this incident, it wouldn't be easy to see her. He was silent for a long time, and then said softly, okay, then I'll see her, I haven't seen my son yet. Zhang Fucai breathed a sigh of relief, that was more like it. They had clearly experienced life and death, but these two old men and women, who were almost 70 years old, were still shy. Master Cheng's leg was not working, but it wasn't broken, and the key point was that it could still be used. The doctor also said that if he recovered well in the future, even if it was just a slight injury, it would still be visible. It all depended on whether Master Ching was willing to endure this pain. On the other side, Xiao Mao pushed Master Ching, ready to go to the delivery room. Master Ching even got someone to buy him a toy. He looked a little funny because his whole body was covered in bandages. As soon as the wheelchair was pushed, he felt pain all over his body, so he scolded Xiao Mao for being a bastard. Xiao Mao immediately coaxed him, and only then was Master Ching willing to endure it. At the door of the delivery room, Master Ching hesitated again. Should I inform them? As soon as he said this, Xiao Mao and Zhang Fucai were stunned. When did Master Ching need to report who he wanted to see? Godfather Ching rolled his eyes at them. You have to be civilized. I have a son. He wanted to set up a positive image for his son. He could not let his son think that he was a hooligan. Zhang Fucai knocked on the door and told Du Meili that Master Ching was here and asked if Sister Hong wanted to see him. Sister Hong heard it too, and her heart skipped a beat. She hadn't visited him, and he hadn't visited his son either. It was as if he was avoiding her. At this moment, she heard that Master Ching had arrived. She pursed her lips. Come in. Master Cheng's heartbeat quickened as well. He had an indescribable feeling in his heart. He was excited, but at the same time, he felt a little inferior. He was afraid that she would despise him for being a cripple. Xiao Mao pushed Master Ching into the delivery room. Master Ching was wrapped up like a mummy, and it looked a little funny. Du Meili was the first to laugh. Master Ching felt embarrassed. What's so funny? It's just a scratch. Chapter 5309. He said it very calmly, but Su Mu knew how much pain he was in. His entire body was covered in wounds. She didn't dare to look at him. She only heard that he was fine. But now, just looking at him made her lose her composure. Her eyes were a little misty. Afraid that she would lose her composure, she said softly, "You guys go out first, I have something to say to Qingzheng." The people around them nodded and then went out. Xiao Mao wanted to peek but was dragged away by Zhang Fucai. Kid, what are you looking at? That's an adult matter. Xiao Mao felt wronged. That's between Master Qing and sister-in-law. How can I not care? Zhang Fucai hooked his arm around his neck. All right. We still don't know if she's your sister-in-law. Xiao Mao didn't say anything. After a long time, he said softly, actually, Master Qing still wants to be with sister-in-law. But, maybe not. Master Qing was a person who cared about his reputation. He wouldn't say that. To put it bluntly, he was a straight man, and it was the last stage. He used to think that he was awesome, but now he was as cowardly as he could be. Zhang Fucai also sighed softly and didn't say anything. In the delivery room, Master Qing looked around. It's pretty good. The environment here is pretty good. He then said, where's our son? Let me see. Sister Hong went over and pushed him to the floor-to-ceiling window. She carried little Mingyu over and placed him in his arms. She said softly, his name is Qing Mingyu. You can call him Yuyu. Master Qing already knew the child's name, but he was still very excited. This child had his surname. With her strong personality, she was actually willing to let the child have his surname. Sister Hong didn't explain why. She just told him that. Master Qing hugged the child and wanted to kiss him. But his body was covered in wounds and his face was wrapped in gauze. He couldn't even kiss him. He could only press his face against him, afraid that it would scare the child. But little Yuyu woke up. He stared at Master Cheng's face with a pair of black and bright eyes. He seemed to be curious and actually smiled. Master Qing looked at the angelic smile and smiled too. He then said happily, this child looks so much like me. He's so good-looking. Sister Hong rolled her eyes. This person was still the same as before. However, after Master Qing said this, he didn't say anything else. He just looked at little Yuyu silently. After a long time, he whispered, what are your plans? Sister Hong was silent for a while before saying, I want to go abroad, Qing. She wanted to ask him if he wanted to go with her. But before she could finish, Master Qing hurriedly interrupted her. It's good to go abroad. The air is good there, and there are many blonde hair and blue eyes. You'll definitely be very happy. Sister Hong looked at him, and he wanted to slap himself. Then, he smiled and said, I'm just spouting nonsense. Don't take it to heart. What I meant was that overseas is suitable for children to grow up. Sister Hong faintly said, don't you want to go? Master Qing coughed lightly. I'm not going. What's the point of me going overseas? Beast City suits me. Sister Hong asked him softly, do you still want to be the boss here? Of course, I have a bunch of brothers here. Master Qing said confidently. But when he lowered his head to look at little Yuyu, his eyes were gentle. Our son doesn't want to be like me, fighting and killing. He's studying abroad. When he comes back in the future, don't let him find someone with blue eyes and yellow hair. Chinese people still have to find Chinese people. Otherwise, they'll be crossbred. Chapter 53:10. Master Qing talked for a long time until the muscles on his face hurt. Then, he didn't know what he was talking about, so he stopped. He looked at the little guy in his arms quietly. The little guy opened his eyes and stared at him. He looked really cute. Master Qing felt a lump in his throat and asked Sister Hong softly, you'll come back, right? You won't stay abroad for a long time, will you? You have to come back to see them. You still have relatives in China, right? If not, your ex-husband, Du Meili, Su Mu, and the news agency. won't you come back to see them? Sister Hong said, when Yu is a little older, he'll come back. Master Chang looked at her, wanting to say something but unable to. Sister Hong said softly, if you want to see your son, I'll bring him back for you to see. Master Chang's mouth was open for a long time before he nodded. That's good. Thank you. Sister Hong smiled. At this time, little Yu was probably hungry. His little mouth was open, waiting to be fed, and he was even sucking on Master Chang's fingers. Faced with such a small thing, Master Chang felt particularly surprised, and then he was even more reluctant. This was his big fat thing, and it was about to be taken abroad by his cruel mother to be admired by everyone. As a father, if he wanted to take a look at it, he would have to do everything possible. Master Chang was sad, and his voice was a little hoarse. He seems hungry. Sister Hong nodded and sat on the sofa to feed him. Master Chang coughed lightly and turned his back. This was his wife and child. Why did he have to avoid arousing suspicion? Sister Hong was a new mother, but she was mature, so she quickly got used to it. She fed the child while talking to Master Chang. Auntie is going abroad with me. When will you be discharged? Master Chang actually had about a month left, but he put on a brave front. I'll be discharged soon. Oh right, when are you leaving? I'll see you and the child off. His heart was bleeding, but he pretended to be generous. Sister Hong was silent for a while and said, I'll leave next week. Master Chang was stunned, and his mouth was open for a long time. In the end, he said softly, pretty good. After that, he didn't speak anymore. After Sister Hong finished feeding the child, he endured the pain and hugged little Yu in his arms for a long time. Sister Hong was discharged from the hospital very soon. On the day she was discharged, she did not see Master Chang. She heard that he had gone for a checkup. It would be best if she left. When Master Chang turned around, she had already left. Xiao Mao accompanied Master Chang and couldn't bear to see his disappointed expression. Well, sister-in-law is still in B City. If you want to see her, you can see her anytime. Master Chang pointed at his leg. Can I still run now? He then said, forget it. You're just a cripple, don't be so annoying. You don't deserve to stand next to her. Xiao Mao wanted to say something, but Master Chang stopped him. Don't talk about kindness. That bastard me came for me. Besides, I'm a man. Isn't it natural for me to protect my woman and child? I can't do such a despicable thing like using this to tie up a woman. Xiao Mao was speechless. He then said in a rough voice, since she wants to leave, let her leave. It's good too. She can't get along well with a boorish man like me. That being said, Master Chang couldn't sleep that night. He tossed and turned, thinking that his wife and child were going to leave. Chapter 53:11. 1 second to remember. However, he was indeed quite manly and did not look for her. He thought that if his leg was fine, he would have pestered her no matter what. However, the doctor had said that even if he could endure hardship and recover well, his leg would not be able to fully recover in the future. He would more or less limp. Master Chang was quite concerned about it. He would rather become a fatty like Zhang Fucai than a cripple. Su Mu, on the other hand, often came to see him and even brought him all kinds of nourishing soup. Master Chang sighed in his heart. They were all good women, but he did not manage to catch a single one of them. When he said this, Su Mu knocked his head. If Sister Hong heard it, she will definitely beat you up again. Master Chang's mouth was like a fish again. After a long time, he finally said, why would she care about me now? She's always thinking about our son. Su Mu smiled. You didn't express anything either. After Sister Hong gave birth to a son, you acted like everyone was going to be good friends in the future. She definitely won't stick to you. Don't forget your dark history in the past. Master Cheng was about to explode. I have long forgotten about those things. It's like taking a dump. How can I still remember that feeling every day? Su Mu was speechless. Be more civilized. Master Cheng took a peach and nibbled on it. No matter how civilized I am, no matter how many books I read, it's useless. One of my legs is already like this. In the future, I won't be able to speak respectfully in front of women. Su Mu, you don't understand men. Su Mu blinked. I don't understand men, but I understand women very well. She said very softly, if a woman really loves a man, she won't dislike him just because he has a leg. She won't be unwilling to follow him. She added, besides, it's only a little bit better. Cheng Zheng, with your looks and temperament, you can completely control it. For the first time, Master Cheng was not confident. He looked out of the window. Don't coax me. I know what kind of person I am. Su Mu was also quite speechless. After a long time, she whispered, actually, you're just not confident enough right now. If you open your mouth, Sister Hong might not leave. Master Cheng silently looked at his own leg. It would take several years for his leg to recover. Sister Hong was no longer young. After being tied up for several years, she would be in her 40s. By then, it would be difficult to find her again. Now, forget it, let her fly. Master Cheng did not speak, but Su Mu roughly understood his intentions. In fact, she didn't think highly of them in the past, but this time, Master Cheng was very manly. Okay, as long as you've thought it through, Su Mu said. After that, she left first. Yi Xiangnan was still waiting for her downstairs. When she got down, he leaned over to open the car door for her before smiling. Big streamer, why do you look so unhappy? Su Mu stuck close to him and whispered, Yi Xiangnan, if I become disabled one day and I don't want to leave you, what will you do? The handsome man thought for a moment. Which part of you is disabled? Su Mu glanced at him and felt that he was a little improper. I'm talking to you seriously. I'm serious too. He smiled and started the car. I have to know which part of me is disabled so that I can prescribe the right medicine. His ambiguous words made Su Mu suspicious. Are you going to keep a mistress outside if you don't get a divorce? Well, it depends on your attitude. If you beg me to continue loving you, I'll force myself, he said shamelessly. Su Mu was speechless. Yi Xiangnan. I'm serious. I'm serious too. He smiled, his face becoming more and more mature. Provided that you don't leave me and don't think about it all day long. He paused for a moment before saying, there won't be anyone else. Chapter 53:12. Su Mu leaned on his shoulder and went home with him quietly. In the past 6 months, their relationship had gotten much better and more stable. Yi Xiangnan would have social engagements, but he would be very clean. If Su Mu didn't check up on him, he would still torment her when they got home, saying that she didn't treat him well. She didn't care about him anymore. She didn't care about her husband at all. She didn't even care about his health. Su Mu was a little amused, asking him what he meant by caring. He said that she wanted to go with him when he had social engagements to protect his chastity. Su Mu was really speechless. What chastity did he have to speak of? Yi Xiangnan smiled. Are you hungry? What do you want to eat? Su Mu sat up straight. Are you hungry? I'll cook some noodles for you. Yi Xiangnan smiled and reached out to touch her head. Okay. When they got home, there was no one else at home. She went downstairs and saw Yi Xiangnan sitting on the sofa, reading a magazine quietly. She could hear the soft sounds from the kitchen. Yi Xiangnan smiled and put down the magazine. Walking into the kitchen, Sumu heard his voice and said softly, "Why are you here? It'll be ready in a while." He hugged her from behind and said in a low voice, "I just want to hug you." Sumu smiled. "Yi Xiangnan, we've been husband and wife for a long time." He rested his chin on her shoulder and said warmly, "But I feel that we're just together." Sumu wasn't a standard beauty, but he was very satisfied with her figure and looks. She was the kind that was very pleasing to look at. Only President Yi knew how beautiful she was. Sumu patted him away. "Wait in the dining room." Yi Xiangnan smiled meaningfully and returned to the living room. After a while, Sumu brought the noodles over, and the two of them ate in silence, then talked about some daily life. "Anne's baby has been born. What gift shall we give?" Sumu asked her husband for advice. Yi Xiangnan thought for a moment. "What do you think?" Sumu pursed her lips and thought for a moment. "Then I'll go shopping later. I really couldn't think of anything at the moment." Yi Xiang suddenly said, "Let's go together." She didn't understand. He rarely went shopping. Yi Xiangnan pinched her face and said, "Take it as keeping you company." Sumu didn't say anything. She lowered her head and took small bites of the noodles. The light shone on the side of her face. She was very quiet. She looked like a peaceful person. Yi Xiangnan held her hand on the table. Sumu looked at him. He did not say anything, but he did not loosen his grip. Before Sister Hong went abroad, she went to the hospital to visit Master Ching. Master Ching knew that she was going to leave. He had a toothache and lay on the hospital bed alone for several days. Sister Hong brought pork rib soup. She put it on the bed and said softly, "Do you want some?" Master Chang's eyes were a little red. He covered his head and said, "I don't feel well. I can't drink it." "Okay, drink it later." Sister Hong was silent for a long time before she whispered, "My flight is tomorrow. Ching, I'll come to see you." Master Chang's eyes quietly turned red again. After a long time, he whispered, "Got it." Sister Hong paused for a moment. "If you don't feel well, then I'll leave first." Master Ching sat up immediately and scratched his head. "I'm very good." Their eyes met. Master Ching felt very uncomfortable. "I'm not sad at all." He said very generously, "Well, when you and your son go abroad, remember to tell me that you're safe." Sister Hong said yes. Master Ching then looked at her a little greedily. Sister Hong did not gain weight after giving birth, but she was still very energetic. She was even more beautiful than before she gave birth. Master Ching looked at her and sighed in his heart. If she went abroad, he would not be able to see her again. He wanted her to stay, but the words were already at the tip of his tongue. He was now half a cripple. She was fine, so why should she follow him? In the end, Master Ching said softly, "Don't worry about the news agency. I'll protect it. You don't have to worry." Sister Hong said thank you. At this time, Master Ching wanted to go to the toilet. After holding it in for a while, he called the nurse. Sister Hong thought for a moment. "Let me do it." Master Ching was stunned. In a moment, his face and neck turned red. "It's good that the nurse is here. It's so inconvenient for you to come. We are not in that kind of relationship." Chapter 53:13. Sister Hong glanced at him and didn't say anything, directly supporting him to the washroom. When they returned, Master Cheng's expression was somewhat unnatural as he coughed lightly. For this kind of thing, the nurse will do it. Sister Hong helped him sit down, then smiled. You still like the nurse? Master Cheng was a little angry, his voice tensed up. Do I look like such a shallow person? As he said that, he coughed lightly. This is nursing, it's not a special relationship, don't get the wrong idea. Right now, I really want my reputation. Sister Hong smiled. You still want your reputation, don't you? Master Cheng's face darkened, but he didn't say anything. Sister Hong sighed softly, not saying much either. Both of them were silent for a long time, and finally, Sister Hong said, Qingjing, I have to go. Master Cheng quivered. What time is your flight? Early morning. Sister Hong smiled. Master Cheng stared at her, his eyes a little red. Sister Hong's voice was gentle. Don't you have anything to say to me? Master Cheng was a little scared, and after a long time, he finally squeezed out a sentence. Take good care of my son. Sister Hong lowered her eyes, smiled, and agreed. When she left, Master Cheng stared at her with a pained expression. When the nurse came over to give him an injection, he didn't feel anything at all. Half an hour later, he came back to his senses, 2 streams of tears at the corner of his eyes, scaring the nurse to death. Mr. Cheng, did I hurt you? Master Cheng's voice was slightly choked. How could a girl like you hurt me? Other than that heartless woman, who else can hurt me? The nurse thought for a long time, then finally confirmed that the one who made Master Cheng cry was reporter Liu. She didn't expect that the tyrant of B City, Master Cheng, would also have such a day, crying so miserably. The nurse didn't dare to make fun of him, but when she returned to the nurse's station, she spread the news, making the entire hospital know about it, and Master Cheng lost face. However, Master Cheng didn't care about being angry, he was like a lovesick patient. Alright, his wife and son, who he missed so much, stayed until the last moment, and he was crippled. If it was like playing a game, he would definitely create a new account, but he was a living person. His leg could not be saved. Su Mu had long said that Qingjing was just a paper tiger. She looked fierce on the outside, but deep down, she had an inferiority complex. Sister Hong returned to the apartment. The auntie had taken good care of little Yu. Sister Hong was not worried at all. Seeing that she had returned, the auntie carried little Yu in her arms and said softly, Yu is hungry. Sister Hong quietly took off her clothes and fed the child. The auntie stood at the side and started to tidy up. As she did so, she asked, How's Mr. Cheng? Sister Hong said softly, Pretty good. Sister Hong nodded. That's good. She paused for a moment before continuing, Actually, Mr. Cheng is quite manly. When the auntie thought about the incident that day, she still felt that it was earth-shattering. That day, most men would probably think that they were weak, but Mr. Cheng wasn't. He was really manly. As she spoke, she looked at Sister Hong. Sister Hong nodded and didn't say anything else. The auntie continued, Mr. Cheng didn't say anything about you going today. Hong Hong looked at the auntie and smiled. He didn't say anything. The auntie was obviously a little disappointed. After a long time, she said softly, That shouldn't be the case. Sister Hong didn't say anything. After feeding the child, she said, We're leaving tomorrow morning. Auntie, please get ready. Chapter 53:14. The auntie nodded and didn't dare to say anything else. She still hoped that they could reconcile. Although Mr. Cheng used to be a troublemaker, not every man was willing to exchange his life for the life of his wife and child. She agreed with Mr. Ching on this point. Of course, Sister Hong couldn't let go of her pride, so she couldn't do anything about it. The auntie had experience. Actually, Miss Lu had Mr. Ching in her heart, but she just couldn't say it out loud. Sigh, I'm not a child anymore. How long am I going to drag this on for? The auntie went back to her room. Sister Hong was a little lost in thought as she carried little Yu. The child really looked like Ching Zheng. He had a full forehead, a straight nose, and a pretty little mouth. However, compared to Ching Zheng's Jianghu aura, it was much more refined. Sister Hong kissed her son. When Yu grows up, we'll come back, okay? Little Yu was awake. He stared at his mother with his round eyes. Of course, he didn't understand. After a while, Sister Hong let out a soft sigh. No one knew that she and Yu would go abroad for 4 years. Yu was diagnosed with mild autism when he was 1 year old. He didn't want to talk or communicate with the outside world. Sister Hong brought the child abroad to seek medical treatment. She didn't come back even once. After Ching Zheng's leg recovered, he didn't go abroad even once. For 4 years, they only talked on the phone until the doctor abroad told Sister Hong that going back home might help with the child's illness. So, Sister Hong came back when little Yu was 4 years old. When they came back, Ching Zheng got up early in the morning to shave and go to see his son. This was the first time he saw his son since Yu was born. The car was driven by Xiao Mao. Master Ching didn't drive much since his leg was injured. He always felt that it was hard. When he went out, he liked to use his cane. It made him look old, so it was normal for his legs to be hard. Xiao Mao followed Master Ching and looked around. Master Ching patted him. Why aren't they here yet? Did you get the time wrong? Xiao Mao raised his hand to look at his watch. The plane is still in the sky, Master Ching. Master Ching touched his head. I see. I was too anxious. He held a little yellow duck in his hand. It was a toy for his son. His son looked delicate like a little girl and was suitable for this kind of furry toy. He didn't look like his father at all. Instead, he looked more like his mother who was pretending. Thinking of Sister Hong, Master Ching asked in a low voice, Oh right, did she tell you if she has a boyfriend abroad? Xiao Mao said, Master Ching, I don't know. If you want to know, ask sister-in-law yourself. Master Ching knocked him on the head. If I wanted to ask, would I need to ask you? He rolled his eyes at little Mao and continued to wait. A moment later, Master Ching sighed. Even if you see her, don't ask. Xiao Mao looked at Master Ching. Master Ching knocked his cane. She's already a cripple. She's rich and has a good figure. Why would she still follow me? Xiao Mao wondered, what if Sister Hong doesn't mind? Master Ching was not very confident. I minded to death. He didn't want to one day, when Lu Hong thought of his shameful past and saw his crippled leg, she would regret it. If that happened, he really wouldn't be able to live anymore. He talked with Xiao Mao until 2:00 in the afternoon. Xiao Mao pointed at the exit. Look, sister-in-law is here. Chapter 53:15. Don't call me sister-in-law. Master Ching patted the little rascal. Little Mao replied with an "oh" and didn't dare to be rude again. Master Ching squinted his eyes and looked at the group of people coming out. Other than the auntie, there was a young man who was also a foreigner. He helped Master Ching to carry his luggage and seemed to be quite close to his son. Master Ching felt like he was struck by lightning and didn't know what to do. Also, the foreign guy looked very handsome with fair skin and was also young. Master Cheng was especially unconfident. Although he didn't think about anything between him and Sister Hong, he still felt a little inferior at this moment. Little Mao looked at Master Cheng and said softly, "Master Cheng, what are you thinking about?" Master Cheng glared at him. "What can I be thinking about? What can I fucking think about?" As he said that, he stared at the pretty boy as if he wanted to stare him to death. Little Mao thought to himself that he was just a stubborn duck. If Master Cheng didn't have any thoughts about him, he would write his name backwards. Sister Hong also saw them and said to Jack, "All right, go back to your place first. I'll contact you later." Jack was a young and handsome lad. His smile was as bright as the sun, and his white teeth were very attractive. After saying goodbye to Sister Hong, Jack left. Sister Hong and the auntie brought little Yu over to Master Cheng. "You're here." Master Cheng was startled. He looked at his son and then stared at Sister Hong. "Yes, I'm here." He carried little Yu over and laughed. "My son has grown so big. Come, let Daddy give you a kiss." In the past few years, Lu Hong had only been seen by him and his son on the Video 1 channel. They didn't even talk to each other. This woman was really ruthless. Now that she saw her son, she could touch him. What a fragrant child. Master Cheng couldn't bear to let go. Little Yu didn't resist, but he was obviously a little shy. He laid on Master Cheng's shoulder and didn't make a sound. Sister Hong looked at him quietly. The auntie beside her looked at her and wanted to say something but stopped. Master Cheng didn't notice the interaction between the two of them. He was still immersed in the great joy of seeing his son. He kissed him again and again, but it wasn't enough. Then, he carried his son and walked towards the exit. Master Cheng held onto his cane with one hand and carried his son with the other without any difficulty. What a joke Master Cheng was. He had a lot of strength. Back then, he could carry his mother with one hand without any problem. Needless to say, he was very popular. Little Yu knew that this was his father, so he didn't make a sound. He shyly laid on Master Cheng's shoulder and stared at his mother with his bright black eyes like a nestling. Sister Hong whispered to the auntie, "Let's not talk about it for now." She was very happy to see Master Cheng, so saying it now would only dampen his mood. Mr. Cheng had been missing his child for the past few years, but Miss Lu's life had not been good either. She had been accompanying her child to seek medical treatment. During her days abroad, she had to go to the hospital twice a week. Her child was already afraid of the hospital, which had become a conditioned reflex. When they reached the parking lot, Master Cheng placed the child in the back seat and even attentively fastened his seatbelt. "You must pay attention to traffic safety. Son, there's a saying that if the traffic isn't regulated, the relatives will cry." Little Yu smiled. He looked a little shy, and he looked especially delicate and cute. Master Cheng was a rough man, so he couldn't help but love him. He kissed him and said, "Good boy." He was deliberately polite to Sister Hong. "Come, the two of you sit in the back too. This car is very spacious." In order to pick up his son, Master Cheng drove a flashy Lincoln stretch limousine. It was as extravagant as before. Chapter 53:16. Remember. Sister Hong and Auntie Ching sat in the front while Little Mao drove. Now that Xiao Mao was married, he looked much more mature and steady. As he drove, he talked to Sister Hong about the changes in B City over the past few years. Master Ching didn't say anything and just listened to Little Mao talk to her. Little Yu also listened with his eyes wide open, a little entranced. Sister Hong lowered her head to look at her son, then smiled and said to Little Mao, "Little Yu likes to talk to you." Master Ching said gruffly, "He doesn't like it when I talk." Sister Hong rolled her eyes. "Ching Ching, can you not be so rude in front of our son? Don't lead him astray. Didn't we split the son in half? Without my contribution, would you have such a cute son?" Master Ching said arrogantly. Then, he turned his head. "Yu, don't you think so?" Little Yu looked at him and smiled faintly. Master Ching wanted to hug his son and kiss him again, but he was afraid that it would ruin his manliness. Boys had to be a little rougher and couldn't be raised like girls. His son looked a little too delicate. Master Ching felt that he had to talk to Sister Hong about this. This wouldn't do. A man had to act like a man. Yu was as shy as a little girl. Until now, he hadn't said a word to his biological father. While Master Ching was thinking, Little Mao asked Sister Hong, "Are we driving to the apartment?" Sister Hong nodded. Little Mao said as if he was presenting a treasure. Master Ching thought so too. "We've already cleaned the place." Master Ching did it himself. Master Ching felt especially embarrassed and glared at him. "You talk too much." Little Mao chuckled and didn't say anything else. Sister Hong was also silent, a little uncomfortable. She and Ching Zheng had separated for 4 to 5 years and they hadn't been together since. Even if they had crossed paths, it was because of little Yu. Now that Little Mao said this, the atmosphere was a little strange. In the end, it was Master Ching who changed the topic. He had to punish Little Mao later, this little bastard, for causing trouble for him. Little Yu didn't really understand adults, so he looked at his mother and didn't say a word. Master Ching didn't mind. He straightened his clothes and said a few words. In any case, it was quite rude. The auntie whispered, "Miss Lu, Mr. Ching really hasn't changed at all these years." She actually had a hidden meaning in her words. On one hand, she was saying that Master Chang's temperament hadn't changed. On the other hand, she was saying that Master Chang's heart hadn't changed. He was still pretending to be Sister Hong. Sister Hong glanced at her and said faintly, "Yeah, you're still the same as before." Master Ching felt uncomfortable. Wasn't this saying that he was rude and uncultured? Master Ching coughed lightly. How could it not change? I'm even more charming than before. I'm surrounded by a bunch of women who want to marry me. Sister Hong smiled and said, "Congratulations, Master Ching." Master Ching chuckled and rubbed his head. "Same to you. Didn't you also bring a pretty boy back? Is he your boyfriend?" Sister Hong was so angry that she didn't want to reply. Instead, the auntie whispered, "What boyfriend?" "He's Miss Lu's assistant. He's highly educated and handsome. He's only 24 years old. He's 1 year younger than Miss Lu." "That's impossible." Master Cheng looked interested. 1 year younger. Isn't that better? Don't many rich women like men younger than them? Sister Hong snorted. Auntie said that you haven't changed at all. She's right. Chapter 53:17. Master Ching felt upset when he heard that. That's not nice to hear. Lu Hong, you woman, he wanted to say something unpleasant, but Master Ching thought that they hadn't seen each other for a few years. It was meaningless to quarrel with each other as soon as they met, so he shut his mouth. The car finally arrived in front of the apartment where Sister Hong lived. The car stopped, and Sister Hong received a phone call. It was by Anan. You're here. Sister Hong responded with a gentle voice. Yes, I'm here. Let's contact each other later. She and Bai Anan were also familiar with each other under the introduction of Su Mu. Bai Anan had also been abroad for the past 2 years to raise a child. Bai Anan and Qin Xian had 2 children, but they had been divorced for 2 years. The reason was unknown. When Sister Hong was abroad, Bai Anan often took care of her. The doctor was also introduced by Bai Anan, so their relationship was very good. Her words attracted Master Cheng's attention. Master Cheng coughed lightly. Who is it this time? Life abroad is very exciting. Stop being so weird. It's Bai Anan. Sister Hong said after hanging up the phone. She was a little dissatisfied with Master Cheng. Couldn't he restrain himself in front of his son? What was with all those words? Master Cheng touched his nose. He was a little upset. How did you know this woman? She's so fierce. In the legal world, Bai Anan was the best. He just didn't know why Qin Xian would marry her. The two of them were a little incompatible. One was an elegant young master, and the other was a fierce female lawyer. Of course, their family background, education, and appearance were very compatible. However, they still divorced in the end. Master Cheng felt that it was a good divorce. He and Lu Hong didn't work together in all aspects, so it was normal for others to divorce. However, Master Cheng wouldn't reveal these dark thoughts. He snorted to show that he understood. Master Cheng carried little Yu. Sister Hong reminded him, he's already 4 years old. Let him walk by himself. Don't spoil him like this. Master Cheng had previously blamed her for raising her son like a little girl, but now he refused to let go. My son looks so delicate, what's wrong with hugging him a little longer? As he carried his son, he handed the cane to Xiao Mao and dragged his luggage himself. It was entirely to prove that he was awesome. It was not a problem at all to carry his son and drag his luggage. Master Cheng walked away in high spirits, but he accidentally bumped into a step. After all, his legs weren't very nimble, and he almost fell. Luckily, Sister Hong noticed that something was wrong and helped him up. Master Cheng was a little stunned. Then, he felt that he had lost face. He coughed lightly. It was an accident. Although he said that, he was still very concerned about it. Later on, he became much quieter. He was afraid that she would look down on him, afraid that his son would look down on his father. When they arrived at Sister Hong's apartment, Master Cheng said that he had something to deal with and left. Xiao Mao also followed. As soon as the door closed, the auntie whispered, Mr. Cheng's leg doesn't seem to be fully recovered. Did he leave because he was concerned? Sister Hong nodded. He does care quite a bit. He's still very prideful. The auntie wanted to say something, but she didn't have the right to do so. She sighed. At this moment, Sister Hong said, Auntie, I know you blame me for being heartless, but I can't blindly accommodate him just because he saved us. I can't take the initiative to tell him that we're together. She paused again. Even if we're together, it won't be good in the future. I know his character all too well. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.